Hi, everyone, and welcome to week 5. This week, we're going to be talking about chapters 8 and 9. Some of the items that are due this week are your SmartBook chapters 8 and 9. There is a blog on the 7 types of love. You will also do a wiki on normal sexual behavior and what it means to be normal, quotes, evolution of mate selection, which is located in the McGraw-Hill text or the McGraw-Hill website. There's also a choice assignment. I'll go over that in a minute. And then there's chapters 8 and 9 quiz, also McGraw-Hill. And then I want to encourage you to start on your rough draft as this is going to be due next week. And then, of course, you have your discussion board. So the choice assignment, it's called choice because you have a choice between 2 options. So the purpose of this assignment is to begin to understand the differences in male and female communication and provide examples of male and female communication differences. Now, I realize these are very broad topics and that male and female is socially constructed, but realize that there are fundamental communication differences that have been observed in the US and in other countries, although again, this is culturally and socially based. So take it with a grain of salt and take it from the US perspective more so than other cultures. Your first option is to create a cartoon strip using one of the websites below. I gave you storyboardthat.com. And your cartoon should contain a conversation between a man and a woman. And in this cartoon, show at least 1 or 2 communication differences in that cartoon. Additionally, write a short narrative highlighting what was depicted in the cartoon, what is being said, what is the male-female communication difference. If you have another website you know about and want to use, that's more than fine. Or if you want to make a short little video, that is fine too. The second option is you can find a video clip that shows a man and woman talking and shows some gender communication differences. This can be taken from a short movie, a music video, television, really any type of clip. Elements should contain, again, a conversation or something between a man and woman, that the clip has at least 2 communication differences. Write a short narrative highlighting what was depicted, and then and in your narrative, make sure that it's very clear what the differences between the male and female communication style was. So this brings us to chapter 8, which is love and communication in intimate relationships. So friendship and love breathe life into humanity. Some have said that it's not worth living unless you can live and be loved and love. And when we look at love and friendships, those two are really alike in many, many ways, but there are some crucial differences that make relationships involving love more rewarding, but also more vulnerable. The more love you feel towards a person, the more attached you feel, the more vulnerable you are into getting hurt. So lovers have much more fascination and a greater sense of exclusiveness with their partners, generally. Because of this, love has a greater potential for causing people distress, conflict, mutual criticism, and it runs much deeper and stronger compared to a friendship. However, friendship appears to be the foundation of what it means to have a strong love relationship. When you think about a strong love relationship, passion and emotional intimacy alter the nature of the friendship and can also create new expectations and possibilities. There has been some research to suggest that almost half of all mixed sex friends, so male and female, experience a romantic attraction at some point. Now, it's interesting because the same research has not been conducted on same-sex friends and those who identify as something other than heterosexual. So it would be interesting to determine or to find out if having same-sex friends, if half of those would also experience a romantic attraction at some point. Now, notice this says romantic attraction and not that it came to fruition, meaning not that they actually hooked up or made out, but just that there was some sort of attraction. For now, many people, especially young people, are remaining unmarried for longer periods of time. And friends are their primary partners through life, meaning that they have closer connections with friends, and those tend to be longer lasting relationships. So, love and sexuality are intimately intertwined. Love is an important determinant of sexual satisfaction, is what research suggests. People in relationships who share power are equally more likely to be sexually involved than those in inequitable relationships. And what it means by this is that think of the traditional male female relationship where the man is in control of the money and working outside the home, and the female or the woman is charged with taking care of the kids and staying in the house. This dynamic naturally creates inequities in the relationship. For relationships that are more equal, meaning maybe both people work out of the house, both have equal say in money and finances, the sexual part of the relationship tends to be more rewarding. And other factors that have a role in the level of sexual activity, so how many times, is environmental factors, the physical environment, including the presence of others. If you talk to new parents is a time that sex is often falls off a little bit. And as you can imagine, you're up all day and night with an infant and they need your attention constantly. So it really takes away from the time that you could be sexual with your partner. And then the cultural environment. What are the values of the parents, of peers, of the person's subculture? Did you grow up in an environment where it was normal for older people to engage and have sex, or was it more taboo and it wasn't common? So men, women, sex, and love. Men and women share more similarities and differences. I want to start off with that. But they do tend to have different perspectives on what love and sex is. For men, men are more likely to be able to separate sex from affection, and they see aggressive behavior as evidence of a woman's sexual interest, while women see forceful behavior in a men as threatening rather than arousing. In addition, demographic and cultural differences override instinctual or psychological gender differences. It's really the culture and the area that we grow up where we learn our sexual values. Additionally, research has suggested that gay men are especially likely to separate love and sex and are able to engage in sex without having any feelings of love or repercussions from that. Love without sex. This is also known as celibacy and asexuality. Celibacy may be a choice for some, but for others, it could be a result of life circumstances. What I mean by that is perhaps getting widowed, never remarrying, never finding a partner again, having low interest or concern over STIs, or maybe some physical problem that makes it difficult to have sex. When we think about asexuality, this is the lack of sexual attraction. So, not being attracted to either gender or sex, or any gender or sex. Most researchers agree that when they refer to an asexual person, they're using the person themselves as identifying as asexual, that they're not being diagnosed as asexual. So it's really a self-diagnosed area. And so love and sex are closely linked to the ideal intimate relationship, as you can imagine. Love reflects positive factors such as caring, it draws people together and sustains them in a relationship. Sex reflects both the emotional and physical elements, such as closeness and sexual excitement. It is possible to love someone without being sexually involved, and the opposite, to be sexually involved with someone without love. There are different styles of love or how we love people, and psychologists and therapists have tried to come up with theories to express the different ways that we feel love. One of those theories is by sociologist John Lee, and he describes 6 basic styles of love. Eros is love of beauty and fascination with physical. So think of this as loving someone for their physical beauty. Mania is obsessive and possessive love. So think of People in this type of love feel their partner is more of a possession and they are obsessed with that possession. Ludus is a playful love. Storge is a love between companions. So think of adult companions, friendship, that there is just a strong, deep connection. Agape is considered brotherly love or the traditional Christian love that is chaste, patient, undemanding, and altruistic, meaning I care for the other person more than I care about myself. And then pragma is practical love. And then there are mixtures of these basic types. So perhaps it's eros, a love of the physical that's combined with mania, the possessive love, or a ludus and storge, playful love and love between friends. So all of these can be mixed and matched depending on what the situation is. Another way to describe love is a triangular theory of love. And then this, psychologist Robert Sternberg developed the triangular theory of love. And it talks about this dynamic quality of love relationships. And basically, love is composed of three elements: intimacy, passion, and commitment. And each element can be enlarged or diminished in the course of a love relationship. As you know, relationships do not stay the same throughout time. They change as you go through life and experience the struggles and joys of life. And different combinations produce different types of love in this triangular theory. So here is what the image would look like. So the three corners are intimacy, passion, and commitment. And then you can see the different combinations that you have here. So when you have all three, it's called consummate love. And it's really the love that everyone strives for, right? There's passion, there's intimacy, and there's commitment. So it's like the trifecta, it's everything you get. But as you know in life, that sometimes relationships form that aren't the best, and they'll only have a couple elements from this theory. Perhaps it's only infatuation, so it's only passion. You only are attracted to the person. Or maybe it's romantic love where there's intimacy and passion, but it's lacking commitment. Or it's fatuous love. So you have the commitment, you have the passion, but you're missing that intimacy, which is that deep trust. Or it's empty love where it's just a commitment. Maybe you got married and, it never was there. The love wasn't there. There's no intimacy. There's no trust. Or it's companionate love where it's just intimacy and commitment. It's missing the passion. I'm sorry. This is intimacy. So I get a lot of questions when I teach class. And what is it? What does it mean to be intimate? And intimate is really like a deep connection with someone else, and it's a trusting connection. So what I have here is the different components of intimacy, and these are 10 signs. One is wanting to promote your partner's welfare, feeling happiness with your partner, holding your partner in high regard, so you feel that they are a good person and you respect them. Being able to count on your partner in times of need, being able to understand your partner, sharing yourself and your possessions with your partner, receiving emotional support from your partner, giving emotional support to your partner, being able to communicate with your partner about intimate things, and valuing your partner's presence in your life. When we think about passion, that refers to the elements of romance and attraction and sexuality in the relationship. It is related to self-esteem, as you need to feel good about yourself to first before you can really appreciate someone else. So you need to feel good that you are sexually attractive before you can truly give yourself sexually to someone else. And then the commitment consists of two parts. So there's a short-term commitment, and it's a decision that he or she or they love someone, whether conscious or unconscious. And then there's long-term commitment, which is the maintenance of love. And the idea that love is a decision doesn't sound very romantic or passionate, but in the end, love is a commitment. It is a commitment that you do and that you decide to make So, for example, if you're in a long-term relationship and you get asked out on a date at work, are you going to put yourself in that position to risk your relationship? That's a decision you make. And if the answer is no, then you have made a decision to commit to your partner. If you say yes, it doesn't mean you've cheated, but now you've sort of opened the door to losing that commitment a bit. So here are kinds of love, and this goes from the Sternberg, and I've already talked about this. So you can review these slides on your own. And then we have the geometry of love. So again, this is Sternberg's triangular theory of love, but you can see the different size triangles and different shapes. And so according to this theory, relationships do very well when the people have the same type of triangle shape. So they have, I mean, let's just say it's all even, right? You want an even triangle to be with an even triangle. So in that first image on the top. The second image shows that maybe there is a little, mismatch, but generally it's the same shape. It's pretty similar. So it'd probably be a good match. But you can see from that third image that this is a moderately mismatched relationship. Think about it. If you have strong commitments and you're with a partner who does not have strong commitment, it's not going to be a good match. It's not going to work because you ultimately cannot change their commitment style. And then the bottom picture here shows a severely mismatched relationship. And again, relationships that have these mismatched triangles are going to end up where someone gets hurt emotionally. And then we have this idea that love is an attachment. So an attachment in this sense is a close, enduring emotional bond, and it finds its root in intimacy. So it's based in intimacy. And it's interesting because the kind of love that you grow up with really impacts the kind of love you have as an adult. And it's called infant caregiver attachment. And there are different types of attachments that people grow up with. And based on those attachments is how you are able to give love as an adult. And the core element in this infant caregiver attachment is the need to feel emotionally safe and secure. And attachment also affects how you process information, how you interact with others. It doesn't necessarily have to be a partner or lover, it could just be friends or strangers, and your view of the world. And in order to have secure and intimate adult relationships, we have to accept that we are vulnerable to getting hurt and to open ourselves up to someone else. So there are three types of attachments that occur as we are growing up and during infancy. A secure attachment, which is about 56% of people, find it relatively easy to get close to others. They don't worry too much about getting abandoned or getting too close to people. People who grew up with a secure attachment had parents that responded to their needs physically. Think of an infant that's crying and needs a bottle or a diaper change. It means that every time they cry that their basic needs were met. So they feel safe and secure. The second type is anxious ambivalent attachment, and this is about 19 to 20% of the population. Now this people with anxious ambivalent attachments believe others don't get as close as they themselves want. They feel it's easy to fall in love, but often have an obsessive experience. They fall in love very quickly. They get very attached and needy, which makes them anxious. And then finally, we have avoidant attachments, which is about 23 to 25% of people. These are people who feel discomfort in being close to others. They're generally distrustful and fearful of being dependent, and they believe that romance seldom lasts. They don't feel comfortable in close relationships with others. The key dimensions of adult attachment is avoidance and anxiety. And having relationships with people who are avoidant or get anxiety from being in relationships is often very difficult. I also want to say that these attachment styles do not have to mean once you are an avoidant attachment that you're going to have that forever. There are definitely ways that you can work through your own inner experiences to learn how to trust others and how to be in relationships. I often get questions about jealousy. So, jealousy is an aversive response to a partner's real or imagined or likely involvement with a third person. It doesn't necessarily signal difficulties between partners. For some, small amounts of jealousy actually improves the relationship and makes them value their partner just a little bit more, knowing that their partner doesn't have to be with them. But many people think jealousy proves that love exists, but that it's more accurately uh, involved in insecurity and immaturity. So it's important to understand if you're jealous or a partner jealous, where that core idea of jealousy is coming from, because it can help alleviate maybe some of the fear associated with being jealous. It can help cement or destroy a relationship, depending on how strong those feelings are. And it's often linked to violence in marriages and dating relationships. And so I just want to stress again that, having a little jealousy or a little couple feelings of jealousy is okay in a relationship, and as it says here, can help cement it. But having strong, deep jealousy or having someone jealous of you signifies that there is a problem. Extra relational sex. So this is sex that occurs outside of a relationship. And so the fundamental assumption is that committed relationships are sexually exclusive, meaning that the only person you have sex with is the person you're with in a relationship. Extra relational sex is having romantic or sexual relationship outside of your current relationship. And it also violates the idea that you are sexually exclusive, meaning you're only with your partner. Because of the different definitions, it's really difficult to determine how many people actually experience this extra relational involvement. If we look at it as sex outside of the relationship, do we look at it as other sexual activities, kissing, making out? Or what about as emotional betrayal? There are some people who would say the emotional attachment outside of a relationship is more hurtful than any other. In exclusive marriages and partnerships, extra-relational sex is assumed to be destructive, whether sex or an emotional connection. When non-monogamy is non-consensual, and I don't mean rape here, I mean non-consensual, that I did not tell my partner I wanted to go outside the relationship to have sex or have a emotional affair. Obviously, then it could be harmful to the relationship. But there's something called open relationships, and these are when the partners mutually agree to have sexual contact with others. Some other names for this is swinging, which is extra didactic sex with members of our couple, polyamory, which is multiple loves. And then there's also this idea of having group marriage, although it's not marriage in the sense of a legal term, having multiple relationships or no single primary relationship. There are many relationships. So, how do you make love last from passion to intimacy? So, intimate love is truly the type of love that lasts when each person really knows that he or she can count on the other. Intimate love is based on the following: making a commitment. And again, with that commitment comes making decisions to keep that commitment and to continue the relationship when bad things happen. It's difficult to be in a long relationship. Life gets in the way, financial hardships, just general hardships. But that's life. And so having the commitment to stick together when things get hard is important. Another is caring. So making another person's needs just as important as your own needs. And then self-disclosure is that your personal information that you share with your partner that others would not know. Communication is also critical. And then the nature of communication. So communication is a process by which we use symbols to establish human contact, exchange information, and reinforce or change our own attitudes. And it's based in the culture that we live in, our beliefs, our values, our customs. the social context we're in, the roles we play, our position in society or ranking in a group, and the psychological context. So how each of us communicate differently. So most of our communication is nonverbal, especially through proximity. So how close you stand to one another, eye contact and touching. Physical proximity may set the stage for both psychological intimacy, sexual closeness, and affection. Eye contact can say a lot. It can be a signal of interest between partners, and then the amount of eye contact can reveal conflict or agreement. And touch is really the basic of all our senses, often signaling intimacy, immediacy, emotional closeness. And those who touch appear to self-disclose more. I'm going to pause this